Hey guys, this is Jen.
And I'm Amanda.
And this is Two Girls Listening Podcast.
Welcome to episode 5.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about work stories.
All the good, bad, and ugly.
Everybody's got a work story, so it'll be good.
If you're one of us that has to work.
True.
I guess some people don't have to work. Must be nice to be one of those people.
I always thought I'd be so good at being independently wealthy.
Yep, just waiting on that winning lottery ticket.
So, how's Sober October going?
Well, as I'm drinking a beer, I made it 27 days, y'all. 27 days.
I know, I'm just messing with her. I was there when she broke her Sober October.
We went to a pumpkin carving party and I totally gave in. There was so much wine and cheese, I couldn't help myself.
You're only human, Amanda.
27 days, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah, so I'll try again next year.
Yeah, you got really far. We were proud of you.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was worth breaking.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah. So check out our Instagram to see our pumpkins we carved. #2GL.
I know. We repped the podcast with our pumpkins.
We did. We got a little creative with our pumpkins.
Yeah, and we were hanging out with our friends from Bar Sovereign. And shout out to Bar Sovereign. If you're ever in Nashville, you should definitely check it out. It has great cocktails, good vibes, and amazing DJs.
I can't wait.
It's going to be fun.
Yep. Now I got to figure out what costume I'm going to wear.
I'm
going to have to dig into the box of costumes from the days of yore, from back when I used to dress up for Halloween.
Yeah, I think I'll probably just be basic and put on some cat ears with a black dress. It's always an easy go-to.
Today on my Facebook, my Audrey Hepburn popped up from 8 years ago.
Aww.
When I had brown hair and I could pull off Audrey Hepburn. I feel like you can't do Audrey Hepburn when you have blonde hair.
No.
Yeah, it looked better as brown.
You'd have to be Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. I don't have the dress for that. Maybe next year.
It's always next year. Well, anyway, we have a question today that somebody submitted.
Yeah.
We have 2 callers. We have Daisy from Tennessee, and we have
Lisa from
Tennessee. Yeah. So, Amanda, you want to read the question?
Yeah. So, Amber from Kentucky. Thank you, Amber, for emailing us your question.
Yeah, thank you.
She says, I'm new to the company. There's a really cute guy there that keeps flirting and asking me out for drinks. I don't really know anyone at this company yet, so it would be nice to have a friend at work. What should I do?
Ooh, Amber, don't do it.
No, don't do it. Nope.
Yeah. Dating somebody you work with can get ugly.
Yeah, I made that mistake in my 20s.
Same.
Yeah, it did not go well. Don't shit where you eat.
Right.
But then again, my parents met at work and they were married for 35 years before my dad passed. So it can happen. But I would say, since you're new to the company, Amber, wait a while. Give it a year or two and see what this guy's like, what his dynamic is with the other employees.
True.
Don't go out with him right now.
Right. He could always be going for the new girl for all you know.
Yeah, he could do this to every girl that comes in. Yeah, you have no idea.
Right. And if it goes south, you don't want to have to work with him and see him. And
yeah, feel it out. Go out in a group setting for drinks.
That's a good idea.
Not one-on-one.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And also just get to know him.
For sure.
But yeah, don't jump into bed with him. That's for sure.
Yeah, don't do that. I did that in my 20s.
Yeah, it gets awkward.
It was real awkward after.
And you have to see your
coworker
ex every day.
Yeah. In my situation, the guy wanted to date and I did not. And it got real awkward. And then every time we had to work on a project together, it was so awkward. And he pulled me aside one day and was like, I feel like you used me. And
him?
I was like, I'm sorry. I mean, I was 25.
Right.
I wasn't ready for anything serious. I was in party mode. I didn't realize he liked me that much.
Right.
So, but then I've heard of other girlfriends who the guy used them for sex. And then, so you don't know if this guy is going to get attached or if he's just using you. So yeah, Amber, wait it out.
Right. Don't jump into anything in a new job. You don't want to regret it.
Yeah.
You're just getting your footing in the job and you just want to get a better feel for how he is.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't go. If I could go back 9 years ago, I would not have done that.
Save yourself, Amber.
Yeah, learn from our mistakes.
Seriously. Yeah.
Do you have any good work stories, Jennifer?
I do. Well, I guess it's not a good work story. I was going to say that one that stands out the most is my worst day of work ever. And I hope it will always be the worst day I ever had in work.
What happened?
So I was working at Starbucks and I was
Okay.
a supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in charge running the shift. And it was a Saturday morning.
So a busy day at Starbucks.
Yeah, generally. And so we had just opened this location. This was a new location in a neighborhood in the suburbs that I grew up in Atlanta. And so we were still getting a feel for the flow. But, Saturday mornings are always going to be busy. And it was a drive-through store. So they had a drive-through and a cafe. And the manager only scheduled me with 2 people. And one of them was brand new and one of them was fairly new. So I was the only person in the store that knew how to make drinks.
Wow.
All the espresso drinks,
And those are hard to make, aren't they?
They're not hard, but, it's just...
If you're new, they probably are.
Well, for the new people, yes, exactly. I just meant I had been making them for years. So that part wasn't difficult, but they are time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did not realize that there was a soccer tournament that morning. And, in the suburbs, soccer tournament, everybody wants Starbucks. Everybody. And, just regular customers as well wanted Starbucks that morning. And we just weren't prepared because we had no idea there was a soccer tournament. And we just got slammed. I don't know how else to put it, but it was unbelievably busy.
In the weeds.
Yeah, there was a line around the building of cars.
Oh, gosh.
And there was a line to the door of people inside. And the new guy, we put him on the front register because that was the easiest position. And he was about in tears, ringing people up and trying to keep coffee brewed. And then the other guy, who wasn't the best worker, was on the drive-through and, kind of freaking out as well. And there I was making all of the drinks for inside and outside. And I mean, it was just a disaster. There were cups everywhere. I would just pick up whatever cup was nearest to me. There was no line, no rhyme or reason. They were not in any kind of order. I was just making cups, trying to get people out of my face because there were customers staring me down. Then eventually customers yelling at me, like, I've been here 20 minutes. They got their drink before me. I ordered after, they ordered way after me. I'm like, look, I am the only person here making drinks. I'm doing the best I can. I don't know. What is your drink? Just tell me what your drink is. I will find it and make it so you leave. And it was just a total nightmare.
Oh.
I've never been that busy. I've worked in several Starbucks in several states and several locations, and I have never been in that position. And every minute on the minute, I had to convince myself not to walk out the door.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you know what? I could just leave.
And then those 2 guys wouldn't know what to do.
Right. Those poor guys. But my trash can was just overflowing with empty milk jugs on the floor. I was covered in milk. There was coffee everywhere. I was making drinks as fast as I could and trying to keep the other 2 guys calm at the same time. And finally, my friend Jeff showed up, to help relieve us a little bit. But, 4 people were still not even close to enough for that type of, flow. There was just so many customers coming in. But at least, got a little reprieve when he showed up. But to this day, I mean, that was, God,
that sounds awful.
It was over 10 years. It was over 10 years ago. And it was still to this day. I just vividly remember it being the worst day of work of my life. And I hope it stays that way. I hope nothing ever tops that. So anyway, I made it out alive. I didn't walk out. And I think everybody got their drink. I really don't remember. Some people might have just left.
Oh, man. Yeah, that sounds rough. Yeah, I waited tables in an SEC town on SEC game days.
Oh, gosh.
So I know all about being in the weeds.
Yeah.
But they staffed accordingly for those days.
Right. It was just, we just weren't prepared yet because it was a new store to that location. And we just had no idea there was a soccer tournament.
Yeah.
The next year we were ready. But that year kind of came out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
A lot of angry soccer moms
Oh, gosh.
yelling at me, the only person able to make drinks.
A normal person who's worked a job would see that it's a stressful situation and be a little more polite.
Yeah, that area wasn't really known for that.
But people who have never worked don't understand situations like that.
Exactly. I'm glad I worked jobs like that growing up because I do have that understanding when I see people that are completely overwhelmed. And I'm like, oh, honey, don't worry.
Yeah.
Do your best. Do what you can.
Yeah.
I understand.
Everyone should have to work in a restaurant or retail once in their life to appreciate.
I agree.
Because I hate when someone's rude to the server or rude to the clerk. I'm like, I've done that job. I know what that girl or that guy's going through right now.
Right. And there's no reason to be rude to people regardless. Yeah. Even if you don't understand their situation, don't be rude.
Yeah. It doesn't make it any better.
Right.
Yeah. So be nice to your clerks and
be nice to your baristas.
And servers and baristas.
And your servers. Just be nice to everybody.
Yeah. True.
Everybody's got something going on.
That's true.
Anyway, what about you, Amanda? You want to tell a work story?
I don't know if I can legally tell any of mine.
Well.
Kidding. My craziest work story, the first one that comes to my mind is my first job out of college. I was 23. Mm-hmm. I just graduated college. It was that I'd graduated in May, started a new job in September or October. Mm-hmm. And I had to go to Atlanta. I think it was in November or December for a conference. So my first ever conference in the corporate world.
Right.
23-year-old Amanda, dumb as fuck. I haven't gotten much smarter, but I'm a little bit smarter.
Oh, man.
So you know how conferences are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of alcohol involved.
Yes.
So at this company on my team, I was the only young single one. Everyone else was older, married with kids. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, who am I going to party with at this conference? So it was a 2-day conference. Like the first night after our long days of meetings all day, we had this dinner, nice sit down dinner, open bar. I make friends with this girl at my table who's young and single also. And I'm like, okay, sweet. Now I have someone to go out with tonight. And she's like, yeah, we're in Atlanta. Like, let's go to a club. And I'm like, yeah. So we're leaving the conference and these guys come up to us and are like, hey, we're going to the strip club. Y'all want to come? And one of the guys, so this was like right when Sons of Anarchy had premiered that fall. And everyone was in love with Jax off Sons of Anarchy. Uh-huh. So one of the guys looked so much like Jax. Like he had a Jax vibe. And I was like, I'm going wherever that guy's going.
Yeah.
So we hop in a cab. This was before rideshare. This was back in taxi cab days. Mm-hmm. So me and this girl were like, heck yeah, he's hot. We're going. And so we hop in the cab to the strip club. Mm-hmm. And we're in Atlanta. So it was a nice, like upscale, fancy
Atlanta's got some nice clubs.
Oh, it was very nice. Mm-hmm. And the guys are like buying us bottle service. Like they're paying for everything. And so we're just enjoying ourselves. We're like, okay. And so, we're there for I don't know how long. So then we get back in a taxi cab and we're all headed back to the hotel. And I hear the guy in the front seat asking the cab driver for some extracurricular activities. Mm-hmm. And the cab driver's like, yeah, just give me some cash. I'll go get it. I'll bring it back to you. And I remember in my drunken stupor in the back seat thinking, we're never going to see this cab driver again. Like, he's totally going to take the cash and run.
Right.
So we all go back to the hotel and we all pile into this guy's hotel room. And we're like, just like watching TV, like waiting to hear back from the cab driver to bring the stuff back. Mm-hmm. And next thing I know, I'm waking up the next morning. And when you wake up from like a night of partying and you're like, where am I? Who are these people? How did I get here? Like it takes you a minute to process and put it all together. Mm-hmm. It was one of those moments where I'm like, and I'm looking around the hotel room and like, I'm passed out. Like we never pulled the comforter down. Like the beds are still made. Like me and this girl passed out like in our clothes on top of the bed, fully made.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 guys in the bed next to us, passed out. There's the hot guy that reminded me of Jax was passed out in the chair. There's 2 guys on the floor. There's just bodies everywhere. Everyone's just passed out. And I roll over and look at the clock and I'm like, oh, shoot. I got to meet my boss in like 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Like no one set an alarm. No, everyone just passed out.
Mm.
So I run to the elevator, run up to my room, change clothes. There was no time for a shower. So like I did a quick whore bath in the sink. And then like I throw on some makeup over last night's makeup.
Yeah.
And I'm still drunk. And I go and meet my boss and I'm like, oh my God. Like he probably smells alcohol. I probably smell like a stripper. Like I'm still drunk. I'm getting fired. I'm getting my first job out of college and I'm getting fired right now. And I go and meet my boss and I'm all like, hey, good morning. And, and then we have meetings all day with clients. And then I have to drive home to Atlanta. And it was one of those, when you sober up and you start processing and like, I don't know, I sometimes get paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole drive from Atlanta back to Nashville, I'm like, I'm getting fired. Boss never said a word. Like meetings went great. Like I didn't get fired. Everything was fine. But
I'm sure you're not the first person at one of those conferences to have a good time. Hey, it sounded like you're still functional. I'm sure that's all they care about.
Yeah. I mean, the conference still went great. I was just, that was my first conference experience. And I was like, I'll never do that again. That's my craziest work story.
Yeah, I'm sure they get that all the time. The fact that you can get up and still go to work shows that you're a trooper.
I think I went to work still drunk a lot in my 20s. But
I think we all did.
Yeah. And now we have a submission from a former cop in South Carolina, David. He's a listener that sent in a story for us. Thank you, David.
Thanks, David. So, I started out getting a disturbance call for a strange noise in a local jurisdiction. Now, this jurisdiction was really small and usually only had one officer on duty at a time. He happened to be on another call, so the county would pick up the slack for them if available. So I go down to this small neighborhood with dirt roads and small lower-income housing. I find this group of people standing in the road, and they point behind one of the houses and say that they hear some strange noises coming from behind the fence. I tell them I'll look into it and get into my car to pull around the street behind the house they were pointing at. I roll my windows down and start slowly creeping up the street, and I see this woman in all white with a bloody towel wrapped around her hand. I stop and get out and ask if everything is okay. She doesn't say a word and just looks up into this tree in front of her yard that she is standing next to. I look up and see a 40-ish-year-old naked man hanging out in the tree.
What?
Yeah. Now, when I did my time as an FTO, field training officer, I would always tell my rookies that if you get a naked guy call, they are always the worst. This is usually because they are high out of their mind, tripping balls, will fight with super meth strength, and tasers will commonly not have an effect on them. So I radio for another unit and start talking to the guy, asking him to come down. First thing I say is, "Hey man, what are you doing up there?" His response is, "I'm Jesus Christ, a 2,000-year-old tree." So now I'm really like, shit. So I talk to the girlfriend or whoever she was to him standing in the yard and ask her if her hand is okay. She tells me she slipped in the kitchen. I know that's a load of crap, but ask her again if he did that to her. And she's covering for him, saying no. So I call for an ambulance as well so they can check him out because he clearly has checked himself out of reality. Somehow I talk him into coming down, but at this point we have a problem. He hasn't really broken the law. Yes, he's high, but I haven't seen him ingest drugs. Also, he's naked, so no drugs are on him at the moment. Yes, again, he is naked, but my call was for a strange noise, and no one has seen him as naked. So I don't have a public indecency or indecent exposure charge as he is on his property, and he has not been viewed by the public. So I talked to the girlfriend and asked if she can coax him into the house until EMS arrives to take a look at him. She does this right as the local jurisdiction shows up. They have cleared their call. Now I had noticed on this naked man individual that he had looked like old burn scars on his body as he came down from the tree. And the local officer informs me as the girlfriend ushers him into the house that he had a few years ago been so high on meth that he dumped gasoline on himself and lit himself on fire. Ooh. My corporal pulls up to the scene at the time, and we are informed via radio that EMS is approximately 2 minutes out. As I'm briefing my corporal, what I had trained as a rookie, this will come into play later, of the situation, we hear glass break on the side of the house. So the naked man jumps out of the window wearing only a red trucker hat. He was a bit on the hefty side and had a big handlebar mustache. So I'm not joking in the slightest when I say it looked like a naked Mario jumping out of his window and hopping the fence behind the house. Naturally, I give chase on foot, as now I easily have charges on the guy and also need to secure him for his own safety, since having taken him into his house clearly didn't work. So I am hopping this wooden fence and I see him run to the driveway of the home behind him, open the door to a car that is parked there, and shut it. Now, it just so happens that these particular neighbors of his don't lock their car and keep their keys in the cup holder, apparently.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I don't know if Naked Mario knew this or not, but as I am sprinting up to the car, he cranks it up and flat out steals it with me 3 feet away. Now, our pursuit policy was that we can have only 2 cars in any vehicle chase at a time. As I climb back over the fence, the local officer and my corporal were getting in their cars and giving chase. Typically, the second car will call out speeds, direction of travel, suspect driving behavior, and every street you pass. So I get to my car and start driving in the same direction as the chase, but I'm not involved in it. We had Crown Victorias, and the local officer had a bogged down SUV of some kind. So the chase progresses, and over the radio, it goes out that the subject is driving 120 miles per hour in the wrong lanes of traffic, headed towards the next major town, about 8 miles away, and that the local officer's car cannot keep up, and that he's requested I join the pursuit. So it's game on, baby. I cut my lights and siren on, and I hit it, while communicating with the local police officers of that city jurisdiction ahead what is coming. Now, this ended up being flawless, as they had the intersection blocked off, and Mario didn't happen to red shell any civilians' vehicles in the oncoming lanes during that 8-mile drive, which took about 4 minutes. We come to the first major intersection and the cops are ready. They have the stop sticks in the road and boom, all 4 tires of the stolen car hit them. So now it's just a matter of moments before his tires are all shreds. He loses control and puts the car in a ditch. About a dozen of us swarm on this guy, and my corporal and I open the driver's door and start to pull on him. I mentioned that meth strength before, and he had it. We could not get him to let go of the steering wheel. So a local officer opens the passenger side door and someone yells, "Hit him." Now, if you aren't versed in cop speak, that means tase him. My corporal, who must have been caught up in the moment, rears back with his right hand to deliver one hell of a haymaker. I shout, "No, no, no," to him and catch his arm as the locals deploy the taser. Mario falls out of the car screaming at this point, and we jump on his naked back and get the cuffs on him. All the while he's screaming, "I'm undercover FBI, you're blowing my cover." They transport him to the hospital and do a toxicology report on him and find cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana, alcohol, and Xanax in his system. One hell of a junkie cocktail, if you ask me. The best part of it was that no one got hurt, no serious property damage happened, and after all of that, I got to dump the whole call over on the local police officer whose jurisdiction it was, not have to babysit Mario at the hospital or do the incident report. That's an amazing story.
Yes. Thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you, David. I really wish we could have been there to witness that.
That sounds like an episode of Breaking Bad or something. Like, oh, man.
Oh, that's great.
I'm so glad I've never done meth. Like, that never appealed to me.
Yeah. Naked Mario is a great nickname, too.
Oh, wow. I don't even know what to say to that story.
Yeah, it's a great story, though.
It's a great story.
I'm sure he has tons of other great stories, too, in that line of work.
That should be on an episode of some sort of show.
Yeah, like Cops.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, David. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we're sorry you had to go through that firsthand, but thank you for sharing.
Right. We appreciate you. Well, we are going to take a few calls now. So, first, we're going to be speaking with Daisy from Tennessee. Hey, now we have Daisy on the line from Tennessee.
Hi, Daisy. Are you there?
Yes. Hi, two girls.
Hey, Daisy. Thanks for calling in with your work story.
Sure. I hope it's a good one.
Yeah. Well, tell us.
Well, when I was in my early 20s, I moved to Los Angeles and just trying to get myself established out there and just trying to find a job really quick. One of the jobs that I got was working at this German bakery. My job there was to, just serve they had really good sweet pastries in the morning, and people would come in and just get that and coffee. But they also served lunch, so they had little sandwiches and stuff like that. And then at lunchtime, I would actually go out and wait on tables.
Mm-hmm.
So after the morning rush, I was wiping off the counters where the pastries were and some of the tables. And this owner, this German guy, said that, hey, you work derogatory racial term, and I didn't know. I didn't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah, that's awful.
These days, he'd be fired.
Right.
I know. And so, right after he said that, he kind of mocked the way I was cleaning, like I wasn't doing it vigorously enough. And, I just didn't even know how to react or respond, I'd only worked there for maybe a week.
Yeah.
And, I needed a job.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I went home and told my roommates that, and they were like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. But, maybe a week later, it was really busy during the lunch rush. And this German guy's girlfriend, who was probably 20, and she was also German, I think. Mm-hmm. She worked there too as a waitress. So it was really busy. And, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you just get in the weeds. You don't even know where you are or anything like that. And
yeah.
Been there.
Mm-hmm.
And so most people would keep their tips in a little styrofoam cup in a counter behind the register. And, there were not many tips.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bakery and people come in and get sandwiches.
Right.
So there's not much money in these cups. And right in the middle of this rush, the girlfriend, you could see she was kind of stirring something up. And I could hear her tell the other people working there that I had stolen her tips.
What?
So I was like, I did not steal your tips. They're right here in this cup. Mm-hmm. And she said, why was my, she had a little pad for writing down the orders. Well, why was my pad moved off the top of my tip cup? And I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
I'm working. I don't know. And then other people were just kind of wow, did you really steal her tips? I mean, she had money in the cup. So,
mm-hmm.
I don't know what her deal was. I just went back to working because it was busy. So I didn't know what she was talking about. But boss was, I guess he had balanced out the cash register and something was amiss. Something didn't add up. Mm-hmm. And I remember that I had voided a transaction, because somebody changed their mind or something.
Right.
And I'd never worked anywhere where you had to go find the boss to, say, hey, I have to void this because of that. But he wanted you to go find him, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he had everybody like in a huddle so he could start accusing people of whatever. And I said, "Oh, I forgot. I voided this. So here's the receipt." I pulled it out of my pocket.
Right.
And then both he and the girlfriend just went like, "Oh, of course it's you." And I was like, "What do you mean it's me?" And just again, implying that I was a cheater, and that same kind of racial slur that couldn't be trusted or whatever.
Wow.
And so I know. And so everybody had to wear aprons. I just took my apron off and I just like threw it down and said, "Go to hell," and I walked out.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'd only worked there like 3 weeks or something, but I never got paid for that last week.
Oh no.
I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Nobody should be treated that way.
It's crazy. It's just crazy. And I guess I just learned that, jobs that are pretty easy to get are probably not worth having.
Like boyfriends.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Help wanted sign in the window, then, maybe there's a bad boss there or something.
Right.
Good. That's true. That's a good point, Daisy. That's a good.
That's a good lesson for a lot of things. If
Yeah.
it's easy to get, it's not necessarily worth having.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on the show, girls.
Of course. Well, good luck. I hope now you have a much better job with a much better employer.
I do. It's much calmer.
Good. You have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, we have our next caller, Lisa from Tennessee, on the line. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad.
Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So you got a fun or crazy work story you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I was really racking my brain trying to decide which of these two stories I was going to tell. One is kind of just funny, and the one is scandalous. So I decided to go with the scandalous one.
Nice.
And for purposes of protecting the not so innocent, we won't use any names or geographical locations. So I might say stuff like Mr. X or Mr. Y. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
The story still holds.
We definitely want to respect people's privacy.
For sure.
Yes. We don't want anybody, because honestly, this is the first time I've told this story to like an audience. I've told like a handful of people individually under like threat of I will kill you if you repeat the story. But I think we're far enough down the road it probably won't matter. So anyway, many moons ago, I used to work as a political consultant. So the traditional, someone's working for a candidate who's running for office, the Navy blazer following behind them with a clipboard. That was me.
Okay.
So my job was, I was a consultant, which meant, basically I helped these people run for office. And we're talking like mainly people running for Congress. So kind of at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it was anything from the traditional, fetch their coffee, make sure they got to places on time, hid the bodies in the back closet. I mean, whatever it took, to get them elected. So I'm working for this consulting firm, and they were like, okay, we just need you to, that you didn't know where you were necessarily going to work. They would have, a batch of candidates, and they would kind of try to match you up with people that you were interested in as far as like things they were kind of promoting policy wise. So, but then sometimes it was just, we've got some random dude out here and you're the closest one to them. Go do it.
Right.
So I get sent, I'm out of town working for this person, And he was a really competitive race, and he had a lot of opposition on the other side of the aisle. We won't say which aisle we were on, just to protect people's privacy. But so the other side had a lot of support, and they were sending in like high level candidates, political elected officials. So like people you would like turn on the news and be like, I know that person. They were flying them in, trying to literally convince people not to vote for our guy.
Wow.
So we were, under the gun, and we had a really great candidate who had a great message and really could have done a lot of cool things. And you're hearing me talk about past tense. Yes, he did not get elected. We were under so much scrutiny that they actually did beat us. Mm-hmm. But that's okay. He went on to do other, probably better things. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we're getting to the last few days of the campaign, and we're putting some strategy together. We're like, what would be great is if we could get, an important elected official in this state to endorse us on national TV, then that would really, that would send some shockwaves through the community, and people would take us more seriously. Mm-hmm. So we started making some phone calls, and we found, again, for privacy, I won't say the name, but someone at the top level of the state government, so i.e. the governor of this state, to like literally endorse us on national TV. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be live on remote with Good Morning America at 7 a.m., whatever the call time was. So 6:45, we're supposed to be ready in position to go on national TV. And we're there, like 6 o'clock in the morning, getting everything set up with all our volunteers, all our stuff, all the people you're supposed to have. And high-ranking official, X, we shall call him, was nowhere to be found.
Oh, no.
So my candidate, my boss, was like, where the hell is he? And I was like, I don't know. I'll make some calls. So I'm calling everybody that I know that has access to this person, and no one's answering their phone, of course. And I'm like, oh my gosh, has something happened? Has he changed his mind? Did something come up? Like, what is going on? Because we're about to go live on TV, and we can't just be sitting there by ourselves. That'll look ridiculous. So my candidate says to me, go find him. Like, as I'm supposed to just magically get in my car and know where to even go look for this person. And so I get in the car. No, we lived in, our district was in the capital of the state.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, like if we were looking for the, Tennessee governor, like, and we would be in Nashville, we'd be pretty close by. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Tennessee, it wasn't Nashville. So I get in the car and I race down to the residence of the governor, and I'm like, I can't get anybody on the phone. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to ring the doorbell, I guess, of the governor's mansion and see if anyone answers the door. And I ring the doorbell, and the door opens, and this young woman, very attractive, enters the door in her underwear. And I was like, so sorry, I'm looking for Governor X. And she says, oh, hold on a second. And she like opens the door more widely and yells out for Governor X by his first name and says, honey, someone's here for you. This particular gentleman was married, but not to that young woman.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I'm about to see something I don't want to see. And he's going to realize, like, I've made the connection that that's not his wife. And they had some things laying around that maybe suggested they were having a pretty fun morning. Oh, no. And am I about to get, like, kidnapped and, buried somewhere in some weird place, and no one will ever know what happened to me.
That's what would happen if you
were
on
Scandal. Like, yes. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And at the same time, all that is going through my head. I'm thinking, I have 20 minutes left to get him back to where we need to be on national TV. And he looks like he just crawled out of Printer's Alley, and I'm not sure what we're going to do. So I'm like calling everyone I know on the phone, like going, okay, we need a backup plan. Like, y'all figure something else out. He's not feeling well. You know, all the stuff you would expect someone in my position to be saying. Next thing I know, here comes Governor X down the banister, you know, down the stairs, like the, you know, like some episode of Dallas or something. And he's walking down the stairs in like the smallest pair of underwear I've ever seen on a man.
Oh, no.
And I was like, sir, I work for Mr. X, and remember, you're supposed to be with him on TV today, and do we need to ask someone else to come or cancel the meeting? And, you know, like the national TV, you know, all those things. He's like, oh, that's today.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm like, yes, sir, it's today. I'm so sorry to bother you, but again, like, are you coming or are we not going? Because I kind of need to give somebody some notice. He says, oh, no, just give me a few minutes. And literally, like, as if it were magic, he disappears and comes back in like a fully, you know, dressed suit, tie, shoes. I mean, the man was like 5 shades of high on coke. And then, you know, he's dressed in a full-on suit. And I'm like, are you sure you're ready to go? And he's like, oh, I'm fine. Let's just tell my driver that we need to go. And I was like, oh, we don't have time for all that. Like, I have a car right here. So in the same manner that he got dressed, the young woman suddenly appeared in her full-on, you know, I'm the assistant to this governor, and I wasn't just partying with him all night. I'm, like, staffing him.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, oh, I'm ready to go. And I was like, no. You're staying here. And she's like, well, what do you want me to do? And I was like, I need you to clean all this up because Mrs. You know, Governor will be here home, I'm sure, at some point, and probably doesn't want to see this. And the people that work in this building, this is a, you know, public building, don't need to know about what you all are doing. So she stayed behind, a little miffed, but he was like, oh, she'll get over it. She understands the scene. And I was like, oh, she understands the scene. Okay, do you understand the scene? Like, we're about to be on national television. I need you bright-eyed and intelligent, and please do not jack this up for my candidate, because, Lord. So we get raced over. We make the call time, like, right on time. He goes out in the truest political, I mean, like, you know, these guys sometimes just shock you. Like, they turn it on, and it's like, okay, there's that public persona I'm used to. Mm-hmm. And he was perfectly fine and normal. The whole session went fine. And the whole time I'm in the back, and I swear, if I'd had like access to like Jack Daniels or any kind of liquor, I would have been downing it because I was so stressed. And my boss comes up to me, and I've got this like weird expression on my face, and he goes, do I want to know what it took for you to get that accomplished? And I was like, I cannot tell you until after this election is over. But as soon as they officially call this election, either in your favor or against you, I will tell you exactly what I just saw. But for right now, just accept the fact that you don't need to know. And he was like, okay, cool. So election night comes, I tell him what happened, and he was like, oh, that doesn't surprise me. I'm back home. It's like 9 months later after the campaign, and Governor X was actually walked out of office for like not doing the right thing. So he was definitely living the large life, shall we say. Mm-hmm. So.
Sounds like an episode of Scandal or House of Cards.
Yes, it was like, because my whole political career, I not had any of those traditional, oh my gosh moments. It was just normal, you know, here's my job. This is what I do. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of fun and interesting, but nothing like any of the TV shows until that day. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what they're talking about.
Sounds like you handled it well.
Yeah, you were totally Olivia Pope.
You knew what to do.
I mean, pretty much when you're telling someone who's a governor of a state, sir, put your pants and shoes on and let's get the hell out of here. I mean, like... And I was like, you know, in my like 20s, and he's, well, how rural he was, and elected to political office. This is one of those moments like, I'm just going to do this how I think it should be done.
Well, it sounds like it worked out. Maybe not for your candidate, but worked out for the TV event.
Yes, we were on TV and we looked professional like we should look. So
I'm sure it wasn't his first rodeo.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
No, and I swear, I mean, it was like the moment in like Cinderella when the fairy godmother, waves the wand and she just instantly transforms into the princess. It was like that. He must have had a fairy godmother back in his closet because he popped in there and came out, and I was like, "How did you do that?" So
it reminds me of those girls on Toddlers and Tiaras where they're like throwing a fit and having a meltdown the second they get on stage. They just like turn it on. Those girls,
right? It's like it clicks on, like oh, showtime. So
it's so crazy to see it in such young kids, though. It's great. I love that show.
That show.
They must be politicians.
That show totally creeps me out.
Yeah, no, it does creep me out too. But those kids, they'll go from "Mommy, I hate you" to all of a sudden just big smile, dancing, smiling at the judges, just like in an instant. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's I guess that's the training and the talent or whatever they talk about.
So maybe they will be politicians.
Yeah,
someday.
one day they'll be politicians.
Yeah, or maybe they'll turn into the young lady that answers the door in her underwear.
That sounded like she was really good at changing quickly too.
She was very involved in her job. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing your story. That was a pretty good story.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, I hope it was entertaining at least, and so hopefully no one will track back to what I was talking about. But if so, oh well, maybe they shouldn't be.
I mean, that could be just about any politician.
Yeah.
I mean, really, honestly, these days it really could be just about any one of them. So that's so true. That's so sad, but so true. It really could. I know I told that story to my husband one time, and he said the same thing. He goes, he knows a lot about the political world and different. He's like, honestly, he said, that's so typical. He goes, I can't even begin to pinpoint who you're talking about. So
well, there
I was like, well, good. I'm glad to know. So, all right. Well, you guys have a good rest of your show, and I'll be looking forward to hearing the end result of everything.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling. Have a great night, Lisa.
You too. Goodbye.
Bye. Well, guys, we heard some crazy work stories, but I'm sure you can all relate. Just don't pull an Office Space and beat the copier with a bat.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Such a good movie.
I kind of want to watch that movie now. Well, as usual, guys, if you want to be featured on a future episode, we would love to have you. You can call us, text us, DM us, email us. We're going to do some future episodes on sibling dynamic, losing your virginity, roommates, weddings for Jennifer's special wedding week coming up, and pets. So you can email us at 2girlslistening@gmail.com, and that's with the number 2. Or you can text us or call us at 615-669-9337, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook and shoot us a message.
And again, thanks to Amber, Daisy, and Lisa for your submissions.
And as always, thank you to Matthew Cox, our amazing sound engineer, and JMO and Kashi for our music. Don't go through life alone. We're here to listen.